Daddy. We're here.
Good evening. Hey. We're here.
Good evening.
Good evening. Got Monday Night Football going on in the background for me.
Yeah, I didn't. I know. What's the score? I haven't watched it, or I haven't been watching.
10-7. Jets just scored a touchdown.
Jets. Who let the Jets on a Monday night?
Hey, Joe Flacco's balling.
Is it? Yeah, balling.
He really is. He's playing really well. I'm shocked.
Everybody good on your end?
Yeah, everyone's good, man. Kids are in bed, wife's at work, so I'm just chilling out with you and our guest here momentarily. Have myself a cold one and saying goodbye to a Monday.
Cheers, my friend.
Cheers to you.
We didn't have a game this past. When I say we, Kentucky, we do lean a little blue on the program. We didn't have a game, this past weekend, though. James probably, and I think you might have tweeted it, and I either liked it, concurred with it, or came to mind over the weekend, is when I watch all these teams, how creative they are offensively. I'm just, oh my God.
I mean, I watched a lot of college football on Saturday, and when you have Florida putting up all these points, and you've got Notre Dame and Clemson just going back and forth with points, and the entire Big 12 can score, and you look at Kentucky's brand of football, and you're like, something doesn't match here. Something doesn't match right now, and Kentucky's offense is stuck in the 60s right now. They don't have a quarterback, and when you look at a guy like Nick Saban or a guy like Ed Orgeron that wanted to run the style of football that Mark Stoops runs and had to change and go to an offensive passing attack, because right now in college football, you need it to survive. And Kentucky right now in the pecking order is pretty low because they don't have an offense that can score a lot of points in a short amount of time. And it's hurting them, and it's going to continue to hurt them unless they can figure something out.
Would it be cool if the offense, who's it, Vandy coming up, if the offense came out in like black and white, just blah colors, because that's kind of where we feel like it's before color TV.
I mean, I'll ask our two other Kentucky panelists that'll be on later, but
they're not. That's to their credit.
They're not. They're not. But at the same time, I'm like, I just cannot get up for this game at all. Like, I'm trying to get excited for it. I'm trying to look ahead and say, you know what? At least Kentucky will be back on the field on Saturday. And I just can't do it. Like, I can't bring myself to be like, wow, yeah, let's go beat Vandy.
Well, maybe our first guest can help us get in the
mood. I'm so excited for this.
Yeah, this is a bucket list for me, because one, it's proof. There he is, Mark Blankenbaker. Mark, thanks so much for hanging with us. This is proof, James, that that birds and cats can coexist. I mean, it is 2020, so what the hell? But here we are. Mark, thanks.
Here we are. Yeah, thanks for having me in the round of shots, guys. I appreciate it.
I know, which Mark, we can legitimately do that, but
Mark texted me last Monday. Was it Monday or Tuesday, Mark? I can't remember.
I forget.
Mark texted me, and he's like, "When am I coming on the show?" And I was like, "Well, how about next Monday?" And he's like, "I'm in." And it was easy as that. I didn't have to go through any channels. I didn't have to go talk to his manager. I mean, he offered.
Who would be my manager? I don't know.
Who would be your manager?
My wife, maybe, I guess.
Yeah, your wife. She's my manager, so my wife's my manager, not your wife.
What kind of a union do we have here? Actually, let's just skip sports and go into this little.
Go directly into that. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just making sure, James. He was talking the sports show, not the other show that we.
Not the paranormal show that you guys do.
James will always be part of the paranormal thing, and we've got some shows lined up in the future where he's going to
do a little guest spot on.
Exactly. So
that's right.
Again, Mark, thanks so much for hanging with us. Pleasure definitely is mine. Before we get into Louisville, James and I were kind of, spilling our beans, spilling our hearts, if you will, about Kentucky's offense. Be a straight shooter. What's, from your perspective, what is wrong with our offense?
Well, yeah, I'm not typically in the business of fixing my enemy's problems, but generally speaking, I would say that Mark Stoops and Eddie Gran have failed to develop a quarterback. And that really is it. I think that they would go downfield more if they could, if they felt confident in anybody that they had.
If they could.
If they could.
Yes.
But it's their job to go out there and identify talent and to develop that talent. And heretofore, like, if you have a quarterback in your life, you're not sending them to Kentucky. You're not sending them to play for Eddie Grand. And, Louisville, we dodged a bullet when Lincoln Riley.
Hold on. No, you can't. Don't go anti-recruiting on us now.
No, but when Lincoln Riley was stolen from Kentucky, Bob Stoops took Lincoln Riley over to Oklahoma because that was Mark Stoops' opportunity, I think, to really have a revolutionary offense. And that's a major bullet dodge because if number one, if Lincoln Riley goes to Kentucky as the offensive coordinator, he's probably your head coach right now. And
yes.
So that's a whole other conversation. Mark Stoops would have been hired somewhere else. He would have gone and taken that money. He would have been exposed as a fraud, and Lincoln Riley would have been in Kentucky and would have been lighting up the scoreboard there in Lexington for at least 3-4 years, I think.
Well, I think Mark Story from Lexington Herald-Leader had an article today, and you have two college quarterbacks right now in Cincinnati and in Minnesota that were both Kentucky high school football players. And neither Louisville nor Kentucky really recruited either one of them, and both those guys are playing lights out. I mean, Cincinnati's undefeated. The story with Minnesota and PJ Fleck, what he's done up there, at basically a dead-end Big Ten job, and he's got them rolling. You just have to wonder, what are the priorities of not only Kentucky offensively, but Louisville too? I mean, they missed out, didn't even really try to go after either one of those guys. And Mark, someone that's inside Louisville football, that seems like somebody, either one of those guys that Bobby Petrino before Satterfield may have sniffed around or at least offered.
Yeah, I think one of the things that Louisville and Kentucky need to do is start valuing our players in our state a lot more than we currently do. I think there's a lot of evidence that they go out and they can excel other places, and we have to pick our spots, obviously, but I think it's pretty well documented what Bobby Petrino did. I mean, Tutu Atwell has turned out to be a very good player, but it shouldn't be a decision about Tutu Atwell versus Rondale Moore. You can take both of those players, especially if Rondale Moore is a lifelong Louisville fan and wants to come into your program. Bring them in. Let's figure it out, a way for them to coexist. And Bobby Petrino really punted on the Commonwealth and specifically the city of Louisville, and Kentucky is took advantage of that, especially in the 2018 class, to their credit. So I would, I think there's a great example of why Bobby Petrino isn't with us anymore.
Yeah, Bobby. I kind of miss him. I do.
I miss, look, I'll be 100% honest. I don't miss Bobby Petrino. I miss the shenanigans he used to do and cause Louisville fans headaches. I miss Rick Pitino.
Our talking points miss him. From a show perspective,
I miss Rick Pitino in the state of Kentucky.
Oh yeah, because Chris Mack has a totally different media approach. If I have something to tell you, I will tell you if I have to. Rick Pitino would be like, okay, I got out of practice and Honest Mahmoud pissed me off. I'm calling a press conference to rip Honest Mahmoud. I mean, that's basically how Rick Pitino operated, and it was great and it was glorious, and we always had content. And now Chris Mack does a press conference and we upload it to YouTube and we move on. It used to be Rick Pitino had a press conference. We wrote 3 articles after it. It's just a different approach. It's just a totally different approach. John Calipari's still that way for you guys, though. So,
hell
yeah. And I'll say it. I've said it many times in the past. I'll say it again. Coach Pitino was ours before yours. not to knock. But my point is that he's still, part of the Kentucky family to me. He will always have a very meaningful place in the lore of Kentucky.
Well, look, he was in Lexington over the weekend for the Breeders' Cup. He was there, and if the Breeders' Cup was in Louisville, I don't think Rick Pitino would have been at Churchill Downs. I mean, I think we can still say that. I don't think that would have happened. I think a lot of the celebration remained in Lexington after the local connections and authentic because they didn't want to leave Lexington and not have Coach Pitino come with them. So, there's a whole story to that. So,
where do you think Pitino visits first, Mark? Do you think he visits Rupp or Yum first? Because I think it's going to happen.
Cal's going to get him there. Think? Cal will get.
That's I think Calipari is working to get Rick Pitino back in
2021, a December game in 2021. Huh.
Well, I don't know if Louisville decides to honor Russ Smith in his jersey. Like, I don't think they're going to retire it, but they might honor it. If that happens, Rick Pitino will be there for Russ Smith. And if he's not, he would lose whatever remaining support is still there for him in Louisville. So I think if that happens before John Calipari in Kentucky is successful getting Rick Pitino there, then I would bet on Louisville. But I don't know when Louisville's planning on doing that with Russ Smith. But I think that's probably the only way Pitino comes back at this point in time.
How is Rick's relationship on record? Well, I don't know. That's not fair. With the current administration,
they settled their lawsuit, and they are not allowed to talk poorly about one another.
Okay. All right.
That's the best way I could put it.
Johnny Cochran here.
Yeah.
Well, I don't, because beyond that, I have no idea. I don't think it's a good relationship, but I don't think it's a bad one. I think that they both had they were suing one another. That's generally not a good relationship, if you know what I mean.
Mark, switching back to football real quick. I mean, I know, and I feel victim of this too, because as you know, on the take with Andy Sweeney, 3-6, I was pretty high on Louisville football. I picked them to win, 9 games, 10 games. I was like, look, with that favorable schedule, I thought Malik Cunningham was going to come in and ball out. I was like, Tutu Atwell, Des Patrick, Javian Hawkins. I was like, the defense will be a work in progress, but the offense is going to be able to score enough points to nullify whatever weaknesses the defense has. The offense is the problem right now for Louisville. It ain't the defense. The defense, for the most part, has been playing pretty well. So what can you put your finger on this Louisville football team that's been so disappointing?
Yeah, it's opportunistic, right? Like they turn the ball over a lot, and that's why they lost the Georgia Tech game. I mean, pretty easy to see that. And they've lost 3 games this year when they've gained over 500 yards of offense. That's really hard to do. You gain 500 yards of offense, you should win. And it's not the defense's fault. It's turning the ball over, knock when you're in scoring position, not getting touchdowns. And really it's the bad penalty. I mean, you have really ill-timed penalties, 2 of which are on Renato Brown, your right tackle, that you're in scoring position, you got some momentum, and then next thing you know, you got a personal foul or unsportsmanlike penalty. And it's like, well, now we're in these tight games, and all the games that Louisville's in are going to be tight. So you can't have these ill-timed penalties. Louisville's competitive on the field, but they do all these non-winning things that keep them from winning the game. And so, I'm done with the excuses on that. Winning teams don't do those things. And so that's why they are 2-5. And I don't think they're that much different than they were a year ago, really. I think the difference is that those passes landed. They didn't have those penalties. They didn't turn that ball over. And so, the tackling and the defense is actually better, believe it or not. Statistically, on paper, it is. But I think that they are very much similar to what they were a year ago. But the difference is they're just those plays that they were hitting last year, they're not hitting. And so I think that your prediction, James, wasn't that bad. I mean, 9 is probably a little aggressive.
I mean, wait, Dave, how many games? How many games is Louisville playing?
11.
They are
11.
11. Okay.
Yeah, they're playing 11.
I said they're going to be a lot like last year, and I think that that's true, except for in the win column.
To Mark's credit, he was actually one of the few people that was like, this might not, because everyone picked Louisville to win around the station, and like all the media, everybody in town. To Mark's credit, on the Diener show, he went in and was like, this might not be the year. It might be next year. And, he's been actually the most correct out of everybody.
Well, I mean, you're coming off a season last year in 2019 where they did win 8 games, but they gave up the most tackles for loss in the history of college football. Okay. So, and then you lost both of your tackles to the NFL. So you think you're going to do better? No. So you look at the Miami game, you look at the Pittsburgh game, and against Georgia Tech, you didn't do it well, but everybody's in your backfield. Like, Strebel can get in Louisville's backfield right now.
Damn right.
He could wipe the chalkboard over at the school, and he could go rush the passer and get back there. So it is getting better, but it's not. It's still a work in progress, and until that happens, they're not going to be able to take that next step. I don't know if next year will be the year that they do it. I was hoping it would be, but given what I'm seeing this year, they may need a little bit more time, and I know that's not what Louisville fans want to hear.
One of the things that people have used, James, Mark, as far as this season is, 2020 COVID, kind of playing the COVID card with, teams that are struggling or whatever.
Yeah.
But all those other teams, are facing the same dilemma, if you will. And a lot of those, we touched on this, I think right before we went live on, James, no Kentucky game this past weekend. But I feel like the offense, still spinning their wheels, maybe back or what, but go ahead.
No, when you're talking about that, like Mark Stoops on his Zoom teleconference today was talking about, there's no excuses, but the SEC schedule, and I'm like, man, I was like, we don't want to hear that anymore. We don't want to, everyone's playing an all-conference schedule right now. I mean, the Big 10, the Big 12, SEC, Pac-12, ACC, outside of like one, ACC is like the only major conference that I think had one extra game for every team. But it's like this excuse isn't flying. Everybody else has the same thing to deal with, and the part that's been so frustrating with Kentucky outside of the offense is they missed an opportunity at the beginning of the season. That was their easy schedule, right? I mean, Auburn we know isn't very good. Ole Miss, their one win was against Kentucky. Mississippi State, Tennessee, Missouri ain't good. Georgia, that game was there for the taking, and Kentucky didn't even try to win that game.
Georgia has one of the best defenses in the nation, James. Hold on. Against mediocre talent.
Exactly.
They've been exposed.
Georgia exposed them. Alabama exposed them. You're exactly right. And the frustrating part is like now you've got Florida and Alabama back to back after Vanderbilt, and we're going to fix the offense against those two teams.
Yeah,
hell no.
That's got to be rough. I mean, I watched the Georgia game, and I'm sitting here. I'm like, okay, what was it like 8-9 minutes to go?
9 minutes, Mark. 9.
And it's like the play clock's just draining, and I'm like, they're playing like they have the lead. Like, what are they doing? Like, because here's the thing. Like, and Howard Schnellenberger was like this. He played at Kentucky. He coached at Louisville. He didn't care if he got beat by 1 or 100. He was going to go out there and play to win. And it looked like in the final, stages of that Kentucky-Georgia game, that Mark Stoops was playing to not extend the lead. He wanted to. 11 points was great for him. He could say, we only got beat by 11. Well, who cares? Try to drive the ball down the field and score, because it's a loss it's a notch in the loss column whether you lose by 11 or 100. And I just didn't appreciate that, just as somebody that just wants to see upsets and watches a lot of Kentucky football. I root for them to lose, stuff like that. But like when I was watching that game, I was thinking about Strebel, and I was like, he's got to be losing his mind right now. He's got to be losing his mind.
He was. No, and I'm like, after he's had some epic over the top post game rants after on after the football games, and I'm like, James, save just a little bit for Monday night.
He's exercised demons by then. I mean,
I know. Has. It's like, just stop. But going back to Kentucky, I think, or James, there he is. Let me get him back on.
Kick me out. Just kick me out. I didn't even touch anything.
I didn't do it either.
Hey, speaking of the rants, so Mark and I kind of like have a feud where he'll rant on his shows and then Andy Sweeney will play it for me.
Yes.
Then I'll respond and have a right response. It's been a beautiful thing for both of us.
It's great radio, man.
It's been awesome, and I wouldn't do it with anybody else. The thing is that Round Daddy is such a good guy that I know that I can toss these softballs up for Andy, and it's content for the take, and then we can respond back, and it's been a lot of fun to kind of do that with, and sometimes you meet people in life that where Bob Valvano will say, sports will make you stupid. And you can't talk trash to those people because then they want to fight you. Well, James isn't like that. We'll go right back and forth and we'll verbally spar instead of physically spar because I'd lose that. And, and so it's a lot of fun, and it's an enjoyment that I get. So when Kentucky loses, I'm thinking about Strebel. And I'm thinking about what he's thinking about and what he's going to say and how I can push those buttons all week.
Yeah, man. It's
vice
fun
versa, James.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mark and I, like I said, we'll text each other. Like that's one of the things that people don't get about radio is we are all like buddies. Like we all talk. We all hang out. We all
Is that like pro wrestling where they fight on in the ring, but back,
I
really want Kentucky to lose,
and I really want Louisville to lose. that part's real.
Let's keep it real.
That's 100% real. I hate his team. He hates my team. But it doesn't mean that we can't be cordial and nice to each other. And when we're in the studio, like, hey, what's up, bro? How's your family doing? How's it? It ends there. It ends at the sport.
Exactly.
When it doesn't get personal. Well, it does sometimes, but it's all good fun.
Personal good fun.
I try to make it as personal as possible without actually pissing them off. Does that make sense?
One of the things like Mitch. What's that mean, James?
Oh, that's Mitchell Hannigan.
No, I know who it is, but what's the blank mean? Is there?
That's what we call Mark on the take. He's blank.
Because when Strebel's doing his rants, he speaks
totally
too fast,
missed that,
and he can't say Blankenbaker. He just goes blank. He just goes blank.
Real mad. They yell blank. Yeah,
I did not know that.
Yeah. That's my little nickname for Mark. Blank. I get pissed off, and I'll just go, God damn it, blank! And I'll just start screaming and losing my mind. Yeah.
But it's pretty fun. But Kentucky, I think, Stoops has done a really good job of recruiting defense, obviously, but also the lines. And so when they're able to run the ball, and this year they're not running the ball as well as they have the last few years, but there's something there. And if you can find a quarterback or find a guy who can develop a quarterback, that's when Kentucky takes off. But if I'm sitting there in your all's shoes, and I've seen enough that I don't like that Stoops to me would have to restart the offense, get somebody different, try to hit on the next Lincoln Riley. I mean, he had him on deck. And so Eddie Gran to me would be ushered out, and I would try something different. Otherwise, if you continue on this Eddie Gran thing, you are where you are for an indefinite period of time. College football has moved on from this style. And it was this style, I don't know, 8 years ago. But they're not playing that way anymore. So it's time to join the. I don't think it's as far as the 60s, but it's time to join the 2020s and start trying to score.
Yeah, the thing with Eddie Gran, Mark and Kevin, that we've been discussing a lot is the more we hear, especially from former players and people close to being around the program, is that this is more of a Mark Stoops thing than an Eddie Gran thing. Kind of like Eddie Gran is just like a hype man, yes man, whatever you say, coach. He's running the offense that Stoops wants him to run. Like you said, during that Georgia game, they all looked perfectly content with covering
we went conservative during the last 8 minutes of the game.
I mean, they just drained the game away. Just drained it away.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think there's my point is, I don't know if it matters who the offensive coordinator is if Stoops continues to call the shots and demand being the first and last voice on how his football teams run. I mean, he ran off Neil Brown. He ran off Shannon Dawson. I mean, those are two guys that aren't going to lay down and just be like, yeah, whatever you want me to do, coach, I'll do it. I just think he found the perfect guy. Because Eddie Grand, Mark, when he was in Cincinnati, they were like 330 passing yards per game, like 30 points per game. I mean, that was a high-flying, high-scoring offense. So is it the philosophy of Stoops? Is it the fact that he just had not been able to hit on quarterbacks and wide receivers? I don't know if it's a marriage of the two things, but whatever it is, it ain't working. They have to revamp the entire thing.
Well, I think it's a combo for sure, because clearly Grand's history shows that he can be explosive. He can be exciting. But, Mark touched on it too earlier. If you don't have the players, the people who can run these plays, they were saying, Gatewood had plays in the Georgia game to throw downfield. That didn't happen. So to me, that's Stoops saying that he wasn't comfortable making these throws,
or he couldn't, or they weren't open.
Yeah.
Well, go out and get guys. I mean, Terry Wilson is your quarterback, 2 seasons prior. And I know he got hurt last year, and Lynn Bowden, that's a whole different story. But
I think Lynn Bowden just scored another touchdown on you.
He did. He did. I mean, absolutely. He just ran right by Rush East and breaking everybody's heart. But seriously, like, there are grad transfers and transfers that are moving programs every year, and Boston College just got one from Notre Dame, and you're telling me that Boston College is more attractive than Kentucky? No, it's not. And so, and now they're airing the ball out, and so you've got coaching staffs that are willing to recruit over the incumbent, and that's what you have to do. Go find somebody who can do it, and if it is Stoops that's holding the offense back, I mean, you got to ask yourself, what's Mitch Barnhart going to do? Because look, we're stuck now. Football's moved over. We got to score. I mean, Ed Orgeron at LSU, he took over that program, and they were the football, the defense. Don't try to just win 21-17. And he talked about, right as they were winning the national championship last year, he was like, we made the decision that we were going to transition from that to this high-powered offense, and my fear was getting fired while we made the transition, because he knew that if he could find the right pieces, that they could change the offense. But in the meantime, he knew that they had to continue to win games. So they won 9-10 games. People wondered if he was right for LSU. And then the next thing you know, it pops off, and they were the best offense in recent memory in college football last year.
Sure.
So you almost have to make the investment. And right now, Kentucky football is fine. They're happy with Stoops being 6-6, 7-5, 8-4, whatever.
Not all of us.
Well,
what would you say? Who's we?
I'm just saying, like, during a transition, if you know that that's what the payoff is, we're changing offensive coordinators. We're gonna get this quarterback. We're gonna air this out. We're gonna make the investment to change ourselves to be modern in football. I think Kentucky fans would go along with a Mark Stoops if he showed that commitment to that type of plan. But right now, I don't know that he actually is committed to that. I think he's going to stick around and see if it comes back to him.
Remind me, James, Saban. His offensive coordinators, and he's had good ones every year. He doesn't. Where'd James go? Where are you going, James?
Did we lose Strebel?
I'm back again. Sorry. Keep kicking me out.
I don't know. Yeah. So Saban doesn't. He's not coaching the offensive, team. I mean, he's literally giving the keys to his coordinator, right?
Yeah.
I don't get. I just don't get how. I don't know. It's been, 2 years ago, 10 wins. Last year,
8,
5. Exciting. It was fun.
Yeah.
This year, man, and then we knew it is a full SEC schedule. We are mid-tier SEC at best.
But the problem is now we're back to where we were when Mark Stoops got to Kentucky this year, and we're fighting for the bottom against Vanderbilt, and that's where we never thought we'd be again. But Stoops is the coach is fighting for last place, or not to be in last place with the Vanderbilt, and that's where we are right now. We're playing a game on Saturday to not be last place in the SEC East, and that sucks. That absolutely sucks.
Real quick, where are you, Mark? You're
I'm
at
in my
home?
back patio.
Back patio. Mitch?
Yeah.
Haven't met Mitch. Mitch, I know
We need to get Mitch
Mitchell
and Andy on the show.
And then he's saying, what's going on, Jay?
Oh, it's the DEA agent that keeps them kicking out. No, that's Round Daddy's grandma that they're looking for, not Strebel.
Look, I tell you what,
They're not looking for Strebel. They're looking for Strebel's grandma. And let's all text everybody at the same exact time, like it's not coordinated.
One of Mark's favorite, like Mark, all his conspiracy theories. He's got a lot of conspiracy theories. One of the best ones is, so if y'all remember Lynn Bowden's grandmother's house got raided by the DEA not too long ago, and he went there, and Mark says that the Lexington media all like kind of got together and stuck with the same story, like it was Lynn Bowden's grandma. They're going to her house, and so that's Mark is convinced that Lexington media is communist Russia.
No, I'm not. The DEA goes to my grandma's house all the time.
Twice on Sunday.
Mark, what's your
regulars
favorite?
there? They breakfast over there.
What's your favorite conspiracy theory that you have? Because you've got a lot of good ones. What's your favorite one?
Non-sports?
Is
it
non-sports?
quick?
No,
Non-sports?
sports related.
Most of them are related to Clemson. And I don't know if you just saw Pat Forty's article on Sports Illustrated about their sign stealing. Clemson will basically do anything to get an advantage. They'll bring laptops on the sideline. And a lot of people think I'm crazy, but then like the people who are like South Carolina fans, that they know because they've all seen it. So like me and South Carolina fans, we're like kindred spirits because they know what it's like to go into Death Valley and to have all this crap rain down on you and a missing first down marker. And the referee of the 2016 game, his daughter attended Clemson at the time he reffed that game. Like he's not like that's not like an in dispute. That's like the ACC is like okay with that, sure, no problem. And then we have first down markers missing. Like Clemson guys, they're crap. I don't know if I can curse on this.
You can curse.
Okay, but they're full of Osterine, which Clemson fans will tell you that is most definitely not a steroid, but it is on the world doping ban list. Okay, and so and then you got first down markers going. You got officials that are IPTE members, which is basically the equivalent of a CAF member. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like I could go all day. They're grabbing in the guys' buttholes and stuff during the game. It's ridiculous. Clemson's crap. I got more respect for Alabama than Clemson.
I knew I'd get him going with that. I was like, I gotta press a button somewhere. I had to bring that up. So I knew that.
My second favorite thing though is the shoebox is full of money. The Nike shoebox is full of money that are all over Lexington's campus. They're free for all the students. You can find them at the end of the rainbow under Sandy Bell's fax machine. You can they're available to all students.
Hey,
under all the shoeboxes. Hang on. I got a box of money here. Hang on.
You got a shoe phone, a money phone?
I got a money phone. I hold it up to my head. No, it's normal. Normal for college kids. Super normal.
We're at the middle of the hour, middle of the show. Mark, we're having fun. You have more than you could stay with us if you now have nothing to do for another 20, 30 minutes. Stay with us, or you can meet. I'm just going to do that because Terry. I mentioned Terry. Terry, has done ESPN 6-8. Terry, what's up, my brother?
Hey, everybody.
Have you officially met Mark? Because he's been running his mouth about. Well, not you.
Hey, Terry.
Hey, on the Twitter streets, I think our paths have crossed.
Oh, I'm sure.
Right, good. Yeah, it's good to see you, Terry.
Do you have right now, Terry?
And
right now, he's in front of you. Do you have something to say to him? Cut a promo. Do a Chris Mack WWE promo at Mark.
No, here's the thing. I've got a lot of respect and love for Louisville fans and everything. So our rivalry over the actual games, but Mama B, Papa B, my brothers, they all went to U of L. If you gave me time, I would go over to my mom's house and dig out the Courier-Journal in 1980 when the team came back after Darrell Griffith won the championship. My older brother is on the bus, as they're pulling in, and everything like that. So I try not to go into name calling of I grew up a Louisville fan, so I try to stay above
the Terry?
What happened?
What happened?
So I was a junior in high school, and my grades were pretty good. Louisville said, we will give you X to come here. Kentucky said, we'll give you X plus Y and a little Z. And I said,
Thus the shoebox.
Man, well, that was pre-Nike.
You had a money phone?
It was all academic stuff. It was all academic stuff.
Yeah.
So I try to
wink
stay,
right there.
Yeah, I try to stay above it a little bit, but it's a great rivalry. But I try not to make it too personal, because I can't say all Louisville fans, because that's Mama B.
Gotcha. Kind of waiting on Max his device to connect again. Mark, feel free to stick around if you're not doing anything. Grab a couple beers, hang out
football on my patio and talking to you guys.
Okay, all right,
cool. Hang out, man.
Awesome. Terry, we're sitting through 30 minutes of Louisville conversation. I prodded myself up to keep from falling asleep. I'm joking, and we're having a good time with Mr. Blank, or as James calls him, Blank. Max, if you can hear me, your device is not connecting. You're going to have to go stand on your roof or something.
Well, we were talking about how we would fix, UK football, Terry, and just globally. I don't really want you to fix it, but I'm happy if y'all want to run the clock out down 11 to Georgia. I'm totally okay with that. But we were having that discussion, and I think it has something to do with just the offensive philosophy and the development of players, and maybe trying something different.
Yeah, here's the weird thing about Kentucky football. We touched on this last week. Mark Stoops and his resume at Kentucky is second best ever? I mean, we can make that argument, but still, you want a whole lot more. So it's do you get rid of Stoops? Do you move on from Stoops and try to do something else, or do you hope he can fix it?
Yeah, or do you force Mark Stoops to get an offensive coordinator that'll get it done?
It's Max.
Godby.
I know for 100% fact I did not just walk in someone saying we're already starting the far Stoops thing. I know for a fact I didn't just walk into that.
Well,
I've gone for a week and all drink the stupid juice that quickly.
Well, real quick, before we get carried away, much love, Max, to you and your wife, newborn. How's everybody on your end?
We are very sleep deprived, but oh my goodness, Mama is a warrior. 50 plus hours of labor. I would have quit. I would have said absolutely not. And Mama's an absolute rock star. And we had to take Judd to a pediatrician today. Lost a little bit more weight than I guess what's normal, but turns out everything's perfectly fine. He's doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing, just sleeping, pooping, and crying. So we got it down pat now. So, but no, thank you all very much. It came 2 weeks early, so it was
So
it was a little bit
early. Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So 2 weeks early, but we're having fun. This so far, I've only been a dad for 5 days, but so far it's the best job I've ever had.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah, good for you guys. Again, this part of the show, Blank, is where we kind of talk ad nauseum about UK football because we got Max Godby, former player. Max, do you know Mark? Have y'all met?
I've just seen now.
Mark, Darth Vader of
No, Mark Enos. Mark Enos is my Darth Vader, but I love Mark. I love Mark to death. So I occasionally see Mark retweet him. So I think it's just been the Twitterverse. So sorry if I trolled you in all shape or form in any sort of rivalry week. Just any Louisville fan is collateral fire during rivalry week.
No, I understand that entirely. We call him CNNs. So That's what we call them.
Yeah. That is his nickname, CNNNS.
CNNS. Without giving us too much information, Max, Terry, Blank is trying to give us the universal secrets, a little cheesy plug from other podcast shows, on what it would take to fix our offense. So, in a nutshell, real quick, Blank, summarize it for Terry and Max. And then
I just think it's generally speaking, the quarterback position has really never been fully developed under Mark Stoops, and we had a discussion about Stoops getting close, hiring Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley goes to Oklahoma instead, works for his brother, and that's really the closest Mark Stoops has ever come from really hitting it right at the offensive coordinator and quarterback position during his time at Kentucky, and we're just wondering, like, is it Mark Stoops that's holding these offensive coordinators back, or can they really not develop the quarterback that they recruit there? And then were they scared or unwilling to recruit over Terry Wilson, in that gap year?
Max, I'll start with you, being the former player that you are.
I would agree to an extent. I think the closest you got under the Mark Stoops era was Patrick Towles, but I think Patrick Towles got caught in the crossfire of a toxic locker room during that 2015 season. And that was a major setback for Coach Stoops. As you can see, you went from 2013 2-10. All of a sudden, you went 5-7. Had the potential to make to a bowl game that year. You just did not have the depth to be able to play in that schedule. And you had a quarterback in Patrick Towles who was a stud and was allowed. Neil Brown allowed him to run, allowed him to use his legs. But then you bring in Shannon Dawson, who is a guy that does drink the stupid juice a lot, and told Patrick Towles, "I will bench you if you run." And you take a guy who is a mobile quarterback, can be, and take him completely out of his element.
Is that legit? He really said that?
That's legit.
Oh,
That's
wow.
legit. I usually don't give away stuff like that, but that one's legit because it really made me mad because I feel like Patrick Towles got an extremely dirty deal. But hey, he went and became a savior at Boston College, so good for him. But I think that is the last position in the Mark Stoops era that needs to have that solidified moment. Defense has been resounding ever since 2014. Offensive line now has been a national monster for 3 years now. You've had the running backs, you've had those go-to receivers, never the quarterback position. But I don't think it's fair to put it on Terry this year, simply because in order for you to have a passing offense, you got to catch the ball. And we have guys that have rocks for hands, and that's coming from an offensive lineman. I mean, as we could tell at Georgia, Joey Gatewood is garbage like Terry Wilson when the receivers don't catch it, and that's where we've gotten to the point. You can't run an offense. Eddie Grant can't call something, and that's where now I truly do believe that Eddie Grant's got to open up the offense. It's either he has to do it, Mark Stoops has to let him do it, or Mitch Barnhart has to intervene. I don't know what the case is. I don't know if we've got to do like a sage or get some chicken soup or something. I don't know.
Exorcism.
Exactly. Something's got to be done.
Contacts there, James, right?
But
yeah.
Normal.
Lamar Thomas is still in Lexington, right? You could just get him in.
Which I saw some old teammates talking with Lamar on that one, and I was like, I'm just gonna sit back, have myself a nice little Coke here, and I'm just gonna watch the fireworks fly on this one. But I mean that's your core issue. You can't call passing plays if your guys ain't catching it. It's hard to block for a quarterback that's holding it for 7-8 seconds. I don't know if you all have ever tried to block a 320-pound guy for 6 seconds, but it's really, really, really hard to do it for 6. That's why they say 4 seconds. If you can hold him for 4 seconds, you got a chance. Terry Wilson.
How many reallys?
Really, really, really. And now, granted, I was a dud, but It takes a long time. So an offensive line can't block that long because a receiver can't get open, can't catch the ball, and the receiver's holding on to it. I think it all comes down to that receiving room is just bad. And I don't know how you fix it, but it's bad.
So are you saying, Max, that the offensive line right now are in their head, they're going 1,000, 2 1,000. They get to 4 1,000, and then they're like, oh, fuck.
It's not like that. It's all about this mental clock, because you know how a play is supposed to develop. You know, at a certain time, as soon as I go into like a kick set, as soon as I've kicked, I'm already going up with my post foot. I know at that point the ball should be going out soon, so I just got to hold on a little bit longer. But as soon as I don't hear that ball's gone, also I'm thinking, oh my gosh, now we're going to get into a scramble situation.
Yeah.
And now
you mean
oh my god, I've got to switch it to a new situation now. So you've got a kind of a mental clock, and it's all you can kind of just feel the presence of the quarterback behind you, of knowing if the play's going south or not.
Terry, you jump in, piggyback off this.
Max gave a lot of good information, but basically it's a chicken or egg situation. Is it because the quarterback can't get to the ball, the receivers, or the receivers can't catch the ball? And if the receivers aren't catching the ball, then the quarterback is going to hold it for that extra beat, like Max was talking about, and it affects the play calling. I mean, we've seen that. It's like in every other sport. In basketball, if you've got somebody that's not shooting it, he's got to sit down. He's got to. If your guy doesn't have his fastball, then he's got to sit down, and it affects the way, the way that you call the game. Like last year during the basketball game, the UK U of L game, Jordan Orr wasn't doing anything. Max sat him down, and Louisville goes on a run and gets it to overtime. Even if it's your best guy, you've got to do something to kind of turn things around. And we're asking these questions, and I have a feeling they're still asking those questions about UK football within the building, because I don't think they know how to fix it, and that's got to be a concern. I think this whole situation, like Max talked about, with from year to year, all the changes, we have to keep in mind this is Mark Stoops' first time running a program and being the CEO of a program in the SEC.
But 8 years in, though, Terry.
But still, that's what I'm saying. You're still kind of learning on the job, and I know he's had it for 8-9 years. But still, the things we're seeing are things that you kind of pick up if you've had to run a program some other places.
I'm going to answer. This is to. I'll start with Mark, and I want James you to jump in too, because this is kind of media. This is a media question. How soft is the media with Stoops for real in Lexington?
Oh, I mean,
my thing is that some of this shit should have been called out.
And it's really bad now that we're on Zoom, right? Like when you're in person, a lot of times you can pipe up and say what you want to say, and you can read body language, and you can kind of direct a tough question. But when you're on Zoom, for whatever reason, people, you have to wait your turn, and it's just it definitely is not good. I can't wait till we get media back in person. But the questions just locally in general have really not been good over a long period of time. And when you ask a tough question, whether it's Louisville or Kentucky, like the SID looks at you like, what am I going to do with you next? Where am I going to sit you? Am I going to sit you in the rafters after that one or something like that? And
that's you're being a straight shooter there.
Access journalism is a bad thing, and you should be able to ask whatever you want to ask when you have that in there. But for whatever reason, that's not happening in our program.
James, go ahead.
Yeah, no, there's. I mean, Mark's right about that. There's one thing that we can both agree on as far as like covering games. And Terry, you've covered games before as a media member, before too. I mean, you do get those dirty looks from SIDs and other media members if you ask a question that might challenge the coach a little bit. They kind of look at you like, "What are you doing?" And no one wants to be that guy. I mean, no one wants to, or girl or whomever, to ask those questions to get the dirty looks from everybody. So a lot of people just kind of stay quiet. And Mark's right about the Zoom. I mean, they won't take you if they don't want to take you. I mean, you can do the little hand raise thing or whatever, but if like Stoops or Cal or Mac or Satterfield has a pitch count, like this is the amount of questions I want today on the Zoom teleconference, and I'm out. And that's kind of what it's been, especially with Stoops here recently. There is one Lexington media member that will ask just about any question. Our guy John Wong, the man, the myth, the legend, he will ask whatever is on his mind, and he don't give a damn if it's on topic, off topic, challenging, whatever. That dude will ask it. He gets a lot of respect from a lot of us because he'll ask whatever he's thinking about.
I guess my point is that could some of this with Stoops kind of, getting him jump started to make some changes? Is it, are we, the media not going after
I don't know
him?
the media does anything with it. I think it's got to come from a donor level. I think it's got to come from a groundswell of fans, like saying, look, like we know that Mark Stoops has built a great foundation here. Let's build on that foundation. Let's push the ball downfield. Let's, modern college football is you better be able to score points. And
we really are.
You got to be able to score.
James, we really are a player or at a skill position. Maybe it's quarterback from being a very good program.
No, I agree with that 100%. Max brought it up. I don't know if he was joking or just, but I mean, at what point does like a Mitch Barnhart come in and say, hey, guys, we got to figure this out? I mean, Max, you brought it up. Were you being serious, or are you kind of being facetious with that comment?
I still don't give anything to the media. I still have that player concept. I still believe the media is the enemy. So I don't expose my sources.
How about that? I thought that was over from last Tuesday's. No.
Is there really?
That
started way before Trump with athletes and coaches.
Touche.
Is there really like a feeling around? No, I'm being serious. Like around the athletes about the media, is it a negative? Is it a negative feeling, Max, or what is it?
It's not negative. It's Can we be real? Can I be real without hurting your all's feelings?
Not gonna hurt my feelings.
You'll get some guys. You'll get some guys in the media. I remember doing interviews after practices and stuff, and you'll get guys that you'll have either a really good journalist. You get a guy like Dick Gabriel. Dick Gabriel will always he'll ask good questions, like good tough questions for you, like after practices or after games and stuff. But they're always like really fair. You always get that one snarky guy that is trying to rise above the ranks. And I remember there was a battle between me and Tevin and Zach West for the left guard position. So I was alternating through the offensive line, and I started for a game. I sucked that game, so Tevin got the start for the game. Then he sucked for the game, and then it went back to Zach West, and it kind of just carouseled around. And it's the only time I've ever lost my cool during an interview. He comes up and he goes, I have a real serious question. You, Zach, and Tevin have been carouseling around on this left guard position. Is it an issue of guys just not caring about the role or wanting that starting role? Like, what is it, an effort thing? And I'm like, what kind of stupid question is that? So you get guys like that, and you're told. I mean, Tony Neely and Slacks do an unreal job at UK, because there's a lot of SIDs out there that are like Nazis. Like, they'll, as soon as you say something wrong, you're not getting access anymore. And if a reporter's asking tough questions, they're not getting access anymore. I think UK is very fair, and that may be why they get a lot of softball questions. But you will get into situations where you're trained to what you're supposed to say. Coaches are trained on what they're supposed to say, and it's always been funny to me and other athletes. It's they will take the same question, like who's starting, Patrick Tolles or Drew Barker, and they will ask the question in 35 different ways, thinking that they're being cute about it or clever about it. It's like, I know exactly what you're trying to say, and no, I'm not giving the answer. I'm going to give the exact same answer.
Good insight there. I always wondered what that dynamic was really like.
Now, but you do, and you get guys in the media that are really cool to talk to. And again, I bring up Dick Gabriel, but Dick Gabriel was always one that was really cool to talk to because he'll actually ask about your family. Like he gets to know you. Steve Moss, even Alan Cutler a little bit. Jen was unreal. Jen was awesome. Anytime I saw Jen was in my huddle, I was like, I know I'm going to have a pretty smooth day. I may have a couple of tough questions here and there, but I know I'm going to be treated fairly.
The local media here in Louisville, Mark, they've been known to toss a few softball questions to them.
Well, they have, what you always have in Louisville is you'll have people digging in to like an important situation, and then you always have the bailout question, where it's like, well, tell me about your running backs.
Yeah.
And it'll be like, what are we doing here? And sometimes like it's a really important topic that everybody in town's talking about. We need to get to the answer, and then you'll get the bailout question. And sometimes it's just good to just stay on topic. We've had several things in Louisville where we need to do that, both in football and in basketball. And I think by and large, when it comes down to like whether it's the Clint Hurt situation or whatever, they've drilled down. But sometimes when it's an emerging thing and maybe those guys don't feel like they've had enough time to really regroup and talk about whatever topic it is, they do give them that little bailout. And it's not always a good thing.
Were you ever in the room, Mark, when any of the NCAA stuff, basketball-wise, was happening? Were you ever in that situation? Any of them? I mean, in any of them. I'm not saying that to be like a jerk or whatever. Like, I just what's kind of like the feeling in the situation like that? Is everyone kind of on guard, just waiting for Pitino or Pitino or Jurich to pounce in that, because those are the two guys that were around in that situation.
So with Katina Powell, it was really like I was on my way to Louisville, NC State when that broke. Like I was in Cabin Creek, West Virginia, basically in Jerry West's old driveway, doing a radio interview, and I was there because I just needed good Wi-Fi to do the radio interview when that story broke. And so, when I got back, a lot of that had already been sort of parsed out and gone through. And then once they get into those NCAA inquiries, they're basically like, we're not going to tell you anything. You're going to have to wait until the notice of allegation is received and our response, and you're going to have to read it there. So once it's out of the bag, the school really goes insular. On the Southern District of New York thing, as you guys know, the FBI came onto campus and they took laptops, and then the lawyers came in. And so, as a media person, those two things it was like, it's a wrap. Like, we can read the indictment that the Southern District of New York set out, and we can figure out University 6, Coach 2, or whatever that was, and that's really all we got.
Can you go on record for that, Mark?
Well, but seriously, University 6, Coach 2, yeah, no, but seriously, like, once that happened, the school's like, we're not telling you anything, and I think legally that's what their lawyers probably good lawyerly advice, but it sucks for us in media.
I have to just throw this out. Katina Powell, James, you might know this story. We did, and it might not. You might have been with me when I did this. I did a round of shots. Ryan Lemon was the guest. This was shortly after Katina was on KSR, that infamous, interview. Yeah. Well, I had Lemon on the show, and we're shooting the shit, having a good time. I kid you not. I could show you. I get a message, Facebook Messenger message from Katina Powell wanting to come on the show.
Oh my God.
And of course, to me, thinking I'm right away, good radio, that is like, I got to do it. And it was one of my daughters who said, "Dad, don't do it. Don't do it." And I was like, "Okay."
Don't listen to your daughter.
I did. I mean, I did. I went with just, she was like, "No, Dad, that would be." And I've used this line several times, and she quoted me. She goes, "You know how you don't like swimming in dirty water? Don't do it." So, exactly.
Good rule of thumb.
Good rule of
Those
thumb.
are all weird times, and I mean, from a Louisville perspective, being around the media, like we had no idea what may have happened in William and Artie Hall, and the Brian Bowen situation. There was a lot of suspicion because players just of that caliber. Number one, Rick Pitino wasn't recruiting those type of players to Louisville typically. Weren't getting those type of, and then to have them kind of just fall out of the sky, to quote what Rick Pitino said, was unusual. And I think when you watch like what happens with some of the other players mentioned in the Southern District of New York case, a lot of those schools got the benefit of those players playing, going to the NCAA tournament and things like that. So I think for a lot of Louisville fans, it's like, look, yeah, we may have known about it, we may not have known about it, but we didn't get any benefit from it. If anything else, if you look at the Katina Powell stuff, a lot of the recruits were turned off by her involvement. We lost a lot of recruits during that time. And I think it makes sense as to why they were turned off.
Yeah. Let's look ahead real quick. Start with you, Max. Vanderbilt coming up. We are, it's the game of the week, for the cellar dweller. Good God. But what's your take looking ahead? I mean, what besides winning and winning bigly, I mean, what do you want to see out of that from that game? You're muted, Max.
Uh-oh.
Still muted. He switched devices. I don't know. Can't hear you. Can you? You can't hear me either.
I can hear him. Yeah, I can hear
There
you.
he is.
Use a different finger, Max. What are you doing? Terry, start with you. Vandy, Kentucky. What do you need to see? Max, we can't hear you.
Well, real quick to follow up talking about the media and everything. John Wong, he was out in Boise, Idaho, with us with that.
Is that infamous story?
But no, but he's asking questions of every team that played. Like, I'm walking by, he's asking Ohio State's coach like how they did during the game. Like, it's not just like local stuff. He's asking tough questions, and he was the one person that got to ask Sean Miller a question after DeAndre Ayton and all those guys, and they lost.
Oh yeah.
The Arizona guys were trying to protect him a little bit, and Wong got his hand up, got the mic, and asked a question. So respect to him.
He's
because
the man.
you need people like that, right? You need a Jerry Tipton that is going to poke the bear and not drink the Kool-Aid. Like, some people don't like that kind of role, but that's what you need, right?
Yeah.
You need somebody to ask those tough questions. So just my 2 cents on that. But Kentucky on Saturday has got to just come out. It's got to be convincing. We've got to see something from the quarterback position because if not, even if it's a close win, everybody's already looking toward basketball season, which is what you don't want to have happen if you're Mark Stoops, because he's kind of kept that at bay the last few years. New Year's Day bowls, late December bowl games. But if you lose or if it's a crappy game against Vanderbilt, man, it's what's BJ Boston doing, right?
Max, are you with us? What are you doing?
Yeah. So, for one, I just want to see a win. That's number one priority. Secondly, show that you did something in the bye week. Clean up. And what I love about bye weeks, it's a great time for you to get back to the basics of the game. And it's always good to have that refresher and tune-up. They basically treat those bye weeks like the first week of fall camp and really work on getting your technique back down again, especially going through a grueling SEC schedule. Your bad habits rise to the top when your body's under distress. And it's a great time for you to be able to get refocused on what
what those techniques are. So in the receiving room, how to run a sharp route, how to run when you're running a slant route, how to hit it at 6 yards, press that outside foot down, basically stepping on the defender's foot and making a sharp turn, catching and turning at the same time, working on stuff like that, the small little minute stuff that can throw off the rest of the offense.
I love you, Mac. Hold on. Say that. I love you, but what you're saying to me should have been addressed many games ago.
I agree. But it's easier said than done. Like it's and I hate to sound like that, and I hate to be the guy that be like, you don't understand unless you're in those situations. It's really hard once your technique gets out of funk. It's not as easy as saying, "Well, stop doing that," because the game goes so quickly. You go into survival mode. I know for me, my big thing was bailing my inside foot. So not keeping my inside foot up in pass protection, I would bail it because I would try to wash a defender down as quickly as possible. And no matter how much Schlarman would scream at me, cuss at me, pull me out of the game, put me back in, say, don't do it again, I would always do it. Because once I was going against someone who was a whole lot better than me, and that was basically everyone, I went into survival mode, not as much, okay, I'm going to work on my technique. That's why you need those bye weeks, and that's why you've got to spend a lot of time outside of practice of building that muscle memory, because it's something, the game is so fast, you can't just think about, you can't go out there and go, okay, I'm going to run my route 6 yards, plant that outside foot, okay, turn, make a dime with my fingers, there we go. It's got to be muscle memory because the game is so reactive at that point. You don't have a lot of time to think. Well, you have zero time to think. It's got to be all muscle memory.
Wow.
That's good insight.
It is.
Man.
If you would have gave me a heads up, I would have put the appropriate background music to that. Max, it was storytelling.
What would it would have been like something from like Good Will Hunting when he's like doing like the
broke
like
back
the
is what
formula?
I was thinking about.
Wow. Okay. That is not 2020 of you.
All right, we're amongst friends. Don't hold it against me. I got it. All right, we're rounding third and heading from home here. And again, Mark Blankenbaker, thanks so much for hanging with us the whole show. We didn't expect this, James, but we'll take it. Right?
We'll take it. Hell yeah.
This is the part of the show where I give everyone like their final shot of the night. I'm gonna start with Terry. Give me your final take, and then this is just play along. Mr. Blank is if you can say anything that's on your mind, sports, non-sports. Tonight is your opportunity to purge yourself. So Terry, you go first.
Wow, I forgot this part of the show. My thing is the Notre Dame Clemson game and the fans storming the field and everything like that. I've been accused of being against sports, but what are we doing? With fans in the stands, what are we doing? When there are people on both sides that are COVID positive, what are we doing? And then Notre Dame's president, the statement he put out when he himself was at a maskless super spreader event. If we want sports, if we want to do things in these challenging times, we've got to be a whole lot smarter than we are.
Good point. And the fact that Notre Dame football, to me, what does that say about Notre Dame football? The fact that they're ranked number 4. They were ranked, number 4 at the time. They stormed the field. Granted, they beat Clemson, but still, they're Notre Dame.
That was my point. Like, it left a bad taste in my mouth. Like, dude, it's like Duke storming the court if they beat, if Virginia's number 1.
Kentucky or Virginia, whatever, yeah.
Or Kentucky storming the court is beating, whomever if they're number 1. You just don't do that. I mean, you are a pedigree above everybody else.
Yeah. Not with the 4 horsemen and touchdown Jesus watching and winning for the Kipper. Like you can't do that, man. You
I'm
just
with
can't.
you.
Yeah.
It was gross.
Mr. Godby, again, baby, where's the baby? Is sleeping right now? Or
Sleeping
did
right
you
now.
get your
He fell asleep while watching Monday Night Football with me. Now, granted, it's the Jets and the Patriots, so he's already on a good start. He knows good football when he sees
his ears should have perked up when he heard Daddy talking tonight.
Yeah.
No, he's probably sick of hearing me. That's basically it. Somehow my wife says, we're gonna split this night shift thing, and I've not that love keeps track of anything, but I did some math, and
there's no scorekeeping.
Yeah, well, I did a little hour keeping, and of the 8 hours, I was up for 6 of them. And I was like, the math just does not. But then she goes, the whole thing, about laboring 50 hours and all that. I was like, okay, you know what? It's fine. It's fine. It's been great bonding time. But there was something I so wanted to talk about last week, but then my son just decided, I'm just going to go ahead and show up now, and just threw a whole wrench in my week. The big thing I need to talk about.
Get used to that.
Oh yeah. It's 5 days, and he's already been like, wait, I've got to put my needs before you, your needs before mine. Okay.
Yeah.
Was The Mandalorian, as you all know, I am a Star Wars historian. Came out last Friday, the first episode, and the second episode was good, but I want to talk about that first episode. Without a doubt, major shout out to Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, and Disney for having the goal, the intestinal fortitude of pulling the trigger, and spoiler warning, 3, 2, 1, there you go, of finally taking something from Legends and taking something from Legends, something that every fan has always wanted, dreamed about, so much fan fiction has written about it. But ladies and gentlemen, we finally have him back, and I am beyond. I watched that episode at 3:00 in the morning, and I go, "You dirty dogs! You all pulled the trigger on it. Let's go, let's go!"
Hilarious.
The best piece of Star Wars content I've seen in 15 years, at the very least. I mean, well done by them. I love the direction that it's going, and I hope they fire Kathleen Kennedy and give Jon Favreau the seat to Star Wars, and let's just roll with this thing, man. Give my son a Star Wars future that he deserves. None of these sequel trilogy trash.
The thing you held up, is there like a thing that you can put your foot on it and the top raises up and you can drop the baby diaper? The baby diaper.
I wish that you would be shocked at some of the stuff that people have given me of Star Wars baby stuff. Like it's
That's
pretty
cool.
legit.
You
got to own it, right? You got to own it.
Oh yeah.
Blank, give me your final shot for the night.
Yeah, just to piggyback off Terry's final thought, like, beginning in the summer, my whole thing was, we're going to go from win at all cost to having a season at all cost. And for me, like, we've done a really good job of sports overall and it hasn't been perfect, but it's been, we've been able to get through it. And, Louisville had a game postponed last week, and then we're going to get that game in this week. Is Kentucky Vanderbilt going to be like the 3:30 CBS game? Is it going to be the only game left? And then
Good
college
question.
basketball, if things keep happening the way they are, the game that we really like the most in our state, college basketball, might be at jeopardy. And so we need to start, we need to learn, we need to adapt with what we have. And so you have fans going on the field over there at Notre Dame. It's not the right thing to happen, but we got a vaccine news today. So let's hang on and let's do all the right things until that vaccine can get deployed and we can maybe live normally again.
I'm with you there.
Also, I love taking shots at Strebel on the radio, and if the only reason I do it is because he's a good enough man to take it.
Hey, same answer, man. It's a lot of fun going back and forth and getting Drew and Andy and everybody else all riled up and getting ready to go. Appreciate it, man. I guess my final take of the night. Gosh, you guys said a lot of good stuff, so I don't really have a ton to add to it. I mean, it's been a really good time. I guess for me, it's just kind of like just what Mark said is, it's a rivalry, but at the same time, it's like these are real people, on Twitter that you're talking to, and there's a lot of Twitter cowards out there that like to, poke fun at appearances and families, and you get personal. It's like, yeah, we're real people, man. Like we're just like you, and reading that stuff, while most of the time you can blow it off and be like, hey, whatever, no big deal. Every once in a while there'll just be that one thing that might stick, and you're kind of like, huh, all right. So it's like, especially moving in, like transitioning from where we were as a country to like where we're trying to go as a country, maybe try to be a little nicer to each other. But I'm not going to be,
yes.
Yeah, but I'm not going to be nice to you, Mark. It's just that's not the cards.
Sounds like I'm in your kitchen.
That's right.
Did anybody
Cry more
try to
snowflake.
throw some shit at Max and see if any of that will stick to his helmet?
Cry more snowflakes.
I got it. This is my final shot. We'll leave everyone with this. James, you put something on Twitter that for some reason I thought was hilarious. So here it is. I need everyone's quick take when it comes to your preference for Thanksgiving sides.
Oh, this pissed me off royally.
Who the hell said we were broccoli casserole?
Broccoli casserole. I'm glad I'm in the deviled egg state right now.
I prefer deviled eggs as well over broccoli,
like
at least
corn
over
pudding
broccoli.
the best.
All right, real quick, let's start with you, Mark. What is the Thanksgiving dinner for you?
Oh, I mean, I like ham over turkey. Give me green beans, mashed potatoes, and corn pudding. And it's all about the rolls and the bread at that point. I don't need the stuffing at all. But yes, and wine, lots and lots of wine.
Cheers.
All right.
I like that.
I didn't know you were a wine guy.
Now we do.
Yeah, now we
caps
do.
off, baby, all the way.
James, I had this idea. We're talking about on some nights doing an AMA night, Ask Me Anything night. Wouldn't it be cool if we had Blank on serving him up to the BBN Nation for an AMA night?
That would be fun.
Me as Jon Snow.
Terry, your Thanksgiving dinner.
Oh man, I like turkey. I like a big turkey leg because it when I'm eating my turkey leg, it's like I'm a king and sitting at the big table. And then I've been fortunate. My mom is she gets in that kitchen early on Thanksgiving Day, and it's the greens. The sides are just the best. I mean, she does an amazing job. So that's where I load up on the sides. And for those rookies out there, you got to show up wherever you're going. Well, not now during the Rona, but you when you show up, you got to bring your own aluminum foil. You got to bring your own Tupperware like that. Because what happens is this, you let people come through, and then you're like, oh, I'm fixing this for cousin so-and-so, they're coming. And then you're secured the bag, right? And then you come through, get your other plate, and then when it's time to leave, somebody's like, oh, yeah, take this. So you can end up with a couple extra servings to take home and enjoy that Friday watching college football.
Damn. If our Kentucky offense is what's the right word I'm looking for?
Good.
As good as that play calling there, Terry? I think we're on to something.
I'm not a rookie, man. I've been through this a few times. So I show up with my own aluminum foil, man.
And then for us paranormal guys, we wear James our
on our head.
Yes,
that's right.
Yeah, Max, your Thanksgiving go-to dinner.
Well, first of all, Thanksgiving was never meant to be done in an oven. It was meant in a smoker. So if it can be smoked, it is smoked. Smoked turkey, smoked mac and cheese, smoked stuffing. Yes, you can smoke stuffing also.
Smoked cardinal bird in December.
Oh, absolutely. But I mean, you're talking to a guy who is a seasoned Thanksgiving vet.
Oh, here we go.
I've turned away from my fat ways for 364 days of the year, but Thanksgiving, it's an all-out brutal war. I will gorge myself, and in all ways, I got to go to the Lord at the end of the day and apologize for my gluttony and my sin of how much food I intake on Thanksgiving. And while we're on the subject of Thanksgiving, this is a time for our country to heal. We've been through a lot of stuff, and we've had the right demonize the left demonize the right. But I think we need to all fall back on one common thing. There is no place in this country for people who start celebrating Christmas before Thanksgiving. That is just a guaranteed fact.
Streeball.
Hey,
Don't hey.
that tree's coming up. That tree's coming out pretty soon, Max. I got it picked out right over there.
Hey,
With you.
hey,
It's not allowed until the Friday after.
before, if it's up the Thursday, the fourth Thursday before November, guess what? This Grinch is coming into Indiana.
Come on over. I'll give you some turkey while you're over here.
I'll raid the kitchen as well.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Mark's
All right.
computer died. That's why he just texted me.
All right, we're almost done. James, give us your Thanksgiving go-to.
Well, it's definitely trimmed down since I have trimmed down. I don't have the capacity to store away as much food as I used to.
Calories don't count on Thanksgiving, James. Everyone knows that.
That's true, but I do have a physical limitation. I do have a lap band in my tum-tum that stops food from going down, so I don't get to eat as much as I used to.
That's a quitter's mentality.
Are you saying, James, could is there video? Could there be video of you like snorting broccoli casserole out of your nose or something?
If I'm snorting something, it ain't broccoli casserole. It'll probably be gravy. I'll snort that.
A line of gravy. You heard it right here, guys. Scarface himself.
Yeah, but no, if I'm doing food, it's got to be turkey. It's got to be. Look, I love these. My aunt makes these deviled eggs. They're just amazing. And for me, y'all talking about the sides and everything. That's all good. But when that dessert table is unveiled, and you got the pumpkin pie, and you got the Cool Whip, and you got the cupcakes, and you got brownies, all that goodness, and you take a little 30-minute break after you eat your meal, then you mosey over to that dessert table, and you start just shoveling it in your mouth. It's delicious. I got a sweet tooth. I got the sweet tooth. I gotta feed the sweet tooth. So that's it for me.
All right, James, what a fun show tonight, man.
It's a great show. Thanks, guys.
Shout out to Mark Blankenbaker for coming on and talking cards and having fun with us. He's a good guy. Max, again, I know I'm speaking for the group here. Congrats. Lots of peace and love with the family. This is the first. Is there, do you have you're gonna have 3, or are you just kind of just going with the flow? Is there, what's going on here?
Again,
Family.
I don't
You
disclose
don't.
anything to the media. Enemy of the people.
This was a fun show. Oh, we missed Justin, man. He would have just been hilarious.
Justin would have had a good time. Absolutely.
Yeah. Looking ahead, Vandy. No problem. We take care of Vandy, right, guys? Start Terry. No issues with Vandy, or do we?
I mean, I remember. I'm old enough to remember when we were Vanderbilt's only win over like 2 or 3 seasons.
I remember that. Yep, you're right.
So they were 1 and whatever, and the 1 was Kentucky. So
1 and whatever.
You can't take anything for granted. But like I said earlier, a close game, and it's full panic in the BBN.
Max, any problems with the Vandy game?
I mean, there probably will be problems. My focus is I hope the offense is good. I hope that the SEC officiational gets better. All I ask is 2% better.
Don't be probably safe to say not the SEC A team, official A team, is going to be doing this game.
First of all, the A team couldn't even properly officiate a Pee Wee football game. So let's call a spade on that one. It's not a hard job, but yet they make it very hard.
I don't know. I saw some highlights of Jeffries, and they seem to got every illegal motion called.
That's a lot. That's a lot of weight moving. No offense to Justin. That's a lot of weight when you're playing the tackle position.
Fair. All right, guys. Great show tonight. James, 680. You're on the rest of the week.
Be back on there tomorrow, 3 to 6. ESPN 680 1057 The Take.
Terry, you got your podcast tomorrow night, Wednesday night, right? Or no, Wednesday night, not tomorrow night.
Wednesday night, we're Cats Talk. Tomorrow night, Vinny and I are hopping on The Locker with Anthony White and Van Hiles.
Oh, cool.
So I'm talking 3 straight nights this week. So
Wow.
I got to get all this out of my system before I move to the great Midwest.
Yeah, the great where it's already been snowing.
Already been snowing, man. Already been snowing, yeah.
All right. Max Godby, Terry Brown, Stree, Brown Daddy, Mark Blanker. Everybody killed it tonight. Fun show. Again, Max, congrats to you. So happy for you and your family. Nothing like having a little one. So
just be careful. You're going to have to, just from experience, if your wife freaks out, just stay cool, man. She got some hormones going right now.
My mama Godby.
She's going to be saying some stuff. She might be crying a lot. You just got to take that in stride, my man. Take it in stride.
I go back to my bourbon.
There you go.
All right. Badass show tonight, James. Thanks for hooking us up with Mark. Good stuff.
He said come back anytime.
We try to stay to the 10 o'clock hour, and here we are, 10:27. I have so much fun with you guys.
It's fun.
All right, we'll do it again. Peace out.
Later, guys.